Hey everybody, CJ Maurer here, back with another episode of the Fling. And honestly, off the top of my head, I can't remember if we're over 20 yet, but coming up on a year of doing this. I started this in April of last year, so about 10 months in. And I have to say, this has been tremendously fun and rewarding, and exactly what I hope it would be. Been able to connect with a lot of people, some of which I already have relationships with, some of which I actually met through this podcast, people who found it and reached out to me and said, hey, I'd love to talk to you. And really been proud of our ability to shine light on people who are putting themselves out there, doing good things, starting businesses, playing in bands, or doing whatever it is to create a positive impact on the world. And it is in that mission that I am very excited to welcome Steve Coulton. Steve is the co-founder of OnCore Golf, which is a company that makes golf balls and apparel and is involved in a whole bunch of cool stuff in and around the game of golf. Steve, I connected with him as well as his partner, Brett, a handful of years ago. We've loosely stayed in touch, but honestly, this is the first time we've chatted in a while. So I'm really excited to catch up with you. Encore is really cool because they're involved in so many things, and it's just not the type of startup, although I don't even know if it's fair to call you a startup anymore, that you often find in Buffalo, that's in this kind of like cool industry, right? That is so accessible and in such demand by people all over the world. So really excited to unpack that. But before any of that, first of all, Steve, thank you for coming. Welcome. I'm excited to have you. How are you?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Doing great. Happy to be here. And thanks for that wonderful introduction. I know people are often surprised to hear that there's a golf ball technology company in Buffalo, New York, of all places.
There is, and a lot of people play it, including myself.
Nice.
So I do. I have played well ever since I met you. Like, how could I not play a ball where I knew the owner of the company that produced it? You know what I'm saying?
It's funny you say that because I've had friends who they grew up playing the big name brands,
Mm-hmm.
and it literally took years to get them to to try the ball and realize that, hey, this is actually an awesome product. But golfers are, they're funny like that, where
Right.
um, it's tough to get them off the name brands.
Yeah, I'm a golfer. I use that term kind of loosely because, especially now with running a business and having three young children, I don't really get out often. I get out maybe a dozen times a year, right? So, and even during the couple years before I got overloaded with offspring, I didn't get out much more than that, and I wasn't a tremendously better player either. I'm somebody who, I go out, I expect to shoot in the low to mid 90s. Occasionally, I'll shoot in the 80s, but honestly, that didn't even happen last year at all. So, for me, allegiance to a golf ball, like I'm not good enough to really notice the difference in the performance of the ball on a consistent basis. Maybe every once in a while, right? But like whether I'm hitting, an encore or really anything, right? On any spectrum, like most of the time it's not going to influence. It's like it's me and how I'm swinging the club that is affecting, the loft, the distance, the backspin, all of that. Somebody who's much more precise and better is probably gonna see more of the difference in the ball. But I just play it because I know you guys.
Where do you like to play?
Where? I really like Harvest Hill.
Me too.
So I think that's a great course. It's usually kept really nice, and it's just challenging enough. Um, I like to play. Honestly, I play Cazenovia Park often because it's really close to my house. Um,
Nice.
I like Audubon, Glen Oak. Um, I like Ellicottville, Holiday Valley. That's a good course. Ivy. There's so many good courses around. You know what I mean?
I
There's still a
know.
couple I haven't been to because I didn't grow up here, but slowly finding my way into a lot of these courses. How about you?
Yeah, I didn't grow up here either, but been in Buffalo for about 10 years now. And so I've gotten to play a bunch of the courses around, some of the private ones,
Hmm.
Park, Craigburn, beautiful, beautiful courses. And then on the public side, Seneca Hickory,
Oh, that's a good one.
you mentioned Harvest Hills. Um, I know Niagara Frontier, I think they went back to private recently, but that's a beautiful track. And we're looking to host our OnCore Cup there later this summer. So I'm actually jumping on a call after this to organize that, hopefully, with Jake over there. But yeah, you wouldn't think it, but there's more great golf courses here than I think a lot of people would expect.
It's great. Yeah,
Yeah,
I played
for a
Park.
smaller population too.
Right, right. I mean, I played Park and I played Brookfield. And speaking of private clubs in East Aurora, I've never played Craigburn, but I played East Aurora Country Club, and that's a fun
Yeah,
course. It's really narrow, a lot of trees,
that's
but really
gorgeous.
fun, really fun.
Yeah, they do.
So,
They do the International Junior Masters there, which
really,
brings juniors from all over the world. This year, they don't know how many international travelers they'll be able to get, but we've been involved with that tournament and the members that host it there. Um, Jeff Cannon's won, um, and it's a fun event. They've had kids from Colombia, um, Argentina, Canada, South Africa, Australia,
wow,
um, and a lot of them have gone on to the PGA Tour. Um, so
that's amazing.
yeah, it's cool. Right in our backyard.
That
And
is,
that course is gorgeous.
yeah, it's really nice. Wow. So, when you were a kid, did you think you'd be selling golf balls for a living?
No, but I did. My first job was at a golf course, Smithtown Landing. It was a public
Where'd you grow
course,
up?
Long Island,
Got it.
and so I was really, my father played the game, and I begged him for probably a year for a set of golf clubs, and ended up getting a friend's set that was cut down, and just kind of have been really hooked ever since. I've kind of gone in and out of periods where more excited about the game than others, but yes, so worked picking the range balls, worked on the maintenance crew, was there 4 in the morning cutting the greens, riding my little moped down to the course, you know so, and then in the range cart you've got kids hitting balls at you, so really did a little bit of everything. Did some instruction, did some golf camps, um, and ended up playing in college at NYU. We were a D3 team, but we had some good players on the team, and it was good, good camaraderie. It was kind of our own little frat,
Yeah.
but a lot of people at our school didn't even know we had a golf team. So
Yeah, you don't normally think of a lot of places to play golf in Manhattan, but I'm sure you guys
Chelsea Pierce was
worked
one.
on course down there.
So we started out in up over the GW Bridge in Rockland County.
Oh
So
yeah,
we
sure.
we'd all hop in a van and it
You ever
was
go to
maybe,
Rockland Bakery?
I don't think I have.
I think that's in
Um,
Pearl River. I can't remember though, but it's like right around there.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good
I was
croissants or
born in Bergen County, so literally when you go over the GW, you drive
yeah,
through Bergen County to get to
yeah.
Rockland County, New York, and I still have family there. And when I was a kid, my grandmother would always take me to the Rockland Bakery. You could like pick these fresh rolls right off the conveyor belt and eat them. I don't know these days if they can get away with that, but that was awesome when I was a kid. So yeah, I mean,
That,
when you're in Manhattan, you probably got to drive a little ways to get to your home course. But that's awesome playing golf
yeah.
in college. I mean, I'm so envious that I didn't pursue that at a younger age. Not to say that I would have been good enough to play in college, but I mean that sounds really fun. I was on the swim team in college at St.
Okay,
Bonaventure,
cool.
so that was a really fun experience. And it was kind of like our own little frat too, and 25 of us on the team, and away meets and being able to, it was super fun. So I totally understand where you're coming from there.
I worked for the sports complex at NYU as, a student job and summer job. And I worked a lot of the swim meets, and you guys are in some shape there. I mean, that was a little more intense sport than golf,
Yeah.
Tiger was kind of on the scene. So golfers were starting to work out, and, we'd go to the gym, but it was pretty much just kind of on our own volition. It wasn't, our coach at the time wasn't really like, making us do squats and, but the swim team.
Yeah,
Guys,
we trained really hard. It feels like a lifetime ago, but yeah, we trained really, really hard in and out of water, running, lifting, conditioning, all that stuff. But our strength and conditioning coach, I know, would program stuff for the golfers too. Like, I don't know what they did. With them, it's probably like you probably can't go too hard because so much of it is about like balance and flexibility, and you don't want to, like, you know what I mean, train yourself out of your range of motion and stuff like that, where it's so delicate.
Yeah, there's some big hitters on tour, Bryson DeChambeau,
Sure.
and Tiger. One of our ambassadors, Gary Player, he's 80, I think 83 now, but still just in incredible shape. He was known as Mr. Fitness. So he was really one of the first guys out on tour that was big on nutrition, big on fitness, and he kind of had to be because he was a smaller stature. But Tiger really, he was definitely well built, well defined. And
you knew that he was like constantly in the gym and training and things like that.
Right. And people always said, if you do weights and you do lifting, you're going to screw up your touch and your feel. But he kind of, I think, proved that you could still lift heavy and put on size and still win out there.
I'd say he proved that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you yeah.
Yeah.
So
and a lot of the guys that are winning, like, they're over 300 yards. It's tough to compete if you can't hit the long ball these days. I mean, there's courses that you can compete on, but
right. Yeah. Even Tiger has said that, like, he can't hit it as far as, DJ or Rory, or let alone Bryson DeChambeau, who's hitting it like 360 or something, right? Like, Tiger's probably flirting around 300, but most of these guys are 330. They have 20, 30, 40 yards on him. It's just insane. So, a lot of the courses, like, the US Open, which usually are much these longer courses, right? Like, it's really hard for him to win that.
Well, and I know he's you'd love to hate him in Buffalo, but Tom Brady, with his age and his performance, I think he's 40, 45 or something, 44.
Something like that. Yeah.
But, he released his training program and nutrition, and it's Pilates and it's stretching and it's, also, really strict diet. But it's cool to see, whether you love them or hate them, to see people compete and be competitive at that age, and just
I don't hate him at all. Not a little bit. I've never root for him, but there's not an ounce of me that hates him. I thought it was fun to watch him win a Super Bowl. I truly didn't care who won. I was kind of torn, but you just have to appreciate it, like, right, like. He's probably the greatest football player to ever play. Like, just sit back and appreciate it. Appreciate him. Appreciate LeBron. Appreciate Serena Williams. You know what I mean? Like, why waste so much energy in rooting against? Like, I never really understood that. I just can't get there with sports. Now, yeah, I can be a little, like, grumpy or salty if my team comes up short, but I just don't have the energy to do that. So.
Yeah, I had some money.
And he's a good golfer, right?
On Mahomes. You're right. He is. He might be a scratch golfer, and that's people just shake their head. They're like, how does someone have so much talent? That's
unbelievable.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
But yeah. So I had some money on Mahomes, but I lost, and I was glad to hear that. My mom she won her pool. So
Nice.
she
Nice. I didn't do one this year. I like to try and do them, but I don't know. I just never got around to doing it.
she won $500. So
That's great. That's
yeah.
great. I won a small, like a $2 pool once, and I ended up winning. I don't know. It was like 150 or 200. I can't remember, but I won that on the Patriots Falcons Super Bowl, that comeback game. I remember
Nice.
doing the math, and I'm like, okay, so if they score a touchdown, go for two, it'll tie and go overtime, get the ball back and score, then I would, whatever it was, like 8-2, or like I don't remember what it was, like I would win, and that's exactly what happened. So I guess I appreciate Tom Brady in a little bit that way too.
Yeah.
So you mentioned how Gary Player is one of your ambassadors, and anybody who follows the game of golf at least knows the name Gary Player, probably knows what he looks like. May not know all of his playing history or things like that. How many majors he won, but you guys are doing some really cool things right now with not just the first the hollow metal core golf ball, which was like the big thing that kind of brought you guys onto the stage. And I remember when you guys got, and forgive me if I'm not getting all the details right, but I believe the PGA rewrote the rules of how golf balls could be composited in order to accommodate for your ball. And I know you guys. I know you mentioned earlier you guys are launching a new ball right now. The Vero. You're working on a smart ball, which is super cool. And so consistent with everything that we're doing. Everything is smart now, from our phones to our cars to our workout equipment. You guys have made some headway with some very well-known sponsors like Josh Allen and Ezekiel Elliott. So I want to talk all about that. But before, take us a little bit on, for a lot of people who follow this podcast, are business owners or entrepreneurs and are very interested in the entrepreneurial journey. So I want to get into what you're doing now. But before we do that, why don't you talk a little bit about, give us the overall story from, how you got the idea, how you started it, going on those CNBC shows and pitching, right, for venture capital and stuff. I remember when you guys were doing that. Why don't you tell people how you got to where you are now and how you're looking ahead?
Sure. Well, when I graduated from NYU, I started working for the man at Deutsche Bank, and just spent a few years there assisting traders in the commercial paper division. And it was just clicking a mouse. They were moving paper from one account to another, and I just, even though they had a good lifestyle, good income, just knew that wasn't for me. My father had been an entrepreneur, and he had done a lot of the resurfacing of skyscrapers in Manhattan. So I kind of always wanted to do, something different, and something entrepreneurial. And right around '08, with the crash in the markets, both Brett, my co-founder, and I, he's in international marketing, and I was in finance. We were both laid off, and so we were kind of putting our heads together, saying, geez, we got to figure something out. Rent is expensive in New York City. And at the time, Brett's father, Keith, and Doug, our chief engineer, Doug Dufault, we were in New York City. They were both in Buffalo. And Doug and three other engineer buddies had invented the hollow metal core golf ball that you referenced. So I had a background in golf, and was pretty familiar with golf balls and technology, and just thought, never seen anything like it before. Thought the design was really interesting. The ball wasn't being sold anywhere. They had just kind of really prototyped it. They hadn't really fully commercialized it yet. So we put the marketing and sales plan together and worked with Keith, our chairman, on some of the initial startup funding that he gave us. and eventually we're able to raise some venture capital funding and do some things on CNBC. We did kind of like their Shark Tank show, Power Pitch.
Yeah, I
So they
remember
have
that.
3 judges, and they kind of grill you, and you pitch them on your idea and your plan. We were able to get 2 of the 3 judges to kind of give us thumbs up, and it wasn't an actual investment on that show, but it certainly helped bring in some additional capital and interest into the business. But yeah, that first hollow core design, as you mentioned, was denied by the USGA, and they're the rules body of golf. So we always wanted to make conforming equipment, and we knew we had to get the ball approved. They had 5 metrics: weight of the ball, distance, symmetry, initial velocity, and diameter. So we met all those metrics, and we submitted 24 and a check for 1,000, which is what you have to do every year. I think it was 1,000 at the time, and we got a letter back instantly saying the balls were denied. And we said, geez, they didn't even test them. So it turns out they said that the balls were untraditional and unconventional in form and make. Basically that, they hadn't really seen that design before, and, they tend to be a conservative group of, people. So anyhow, we had 2 appeals, and the first appeal was to the Equipment Standards Committee, and they denied us. And then the second appeal was to the executive board, and they gave us the approval and wrote us the letter. It said it was only the second time in history that they were allowing in a new technology. So we just we made the case that metal had been used in the past in golf balls, and Nike was out there basically promoting their new resin core ball, which they were promoting as a hammer blow to tradition and never before seen material. So we were, we just kind of made the case that, if you allow in that ball, and you deny us, it's kind of a restraint of trade. And fortunately we got the approval. We've moved away from that technology with the hollow core, but that was what kind of got us into the industry. And we've since evolved the ball to, superior designs and, better feel, better spin characteristics. So it's come a long way.
That's amazing. And now you guys are, I know you have, you have the Avant and the Elixir, and now the new ball, the Vero something. Tell me about that.
Yeah, the Vero X1. So we launched that back in March of last year, and it really complements the Elixir Tour ball in the sense that it's a 4-piece ball designed for a bit of a faster swing speed. It's got our perimeter weighting technology in it, great feel, great launch, great spin characteristics around the green. It's just a really, really strong ball in every category, right up there with, Titleist and their Pro V1 lines, but way better priced. And that's kind of our model, is that with the big name brands, you're paying for, all those sponsorship. They've got so much money invested in marketing and in these tour players that they basically have to charge a significant premium for the golf balls. And we've kind of said, look, we can make just as good of a golf ball and sell it direct, right to the consumer at a great price. And that's been our model for the last 2-3 years. We've been focused on that direct to consumer.
Now, when you say
Over the
direct to
internet.
consumer, do you mean like right off the internet, right off your website, or through affiliates, or do you also mean like it's being at golf shops and other places like that, or would you consider that one also?
So we initially tried more the traditional route with pro shops and sales reps, but the brand wasn't really well known. So that approach wasn't
So
really working.
it would go to a shelf, but people, because it wasn't very well known, people wouldn't recognize it, so they wouldn't buy it.
Yeah. And I mean, if you had the right guy behind the counter promoting it, explaining to people, hey, this is a really good ball, check it out. It did sell. But oftentimes the pro is out, he doesn't want to be selling. He's out on the tee giving a lesson. So and in order to market, and drive someone into his shop, it's quite a bit of money. So it's like, would you rather spend that money driving someone to your website where you can, obviously continue the relationship with them, or drive them into a Dick's Sporting Goods where there's, 100 other golf balls on the shelf, So we said, let's focus on our website. And we still have a lot of accounts. It's just not the primary focus of our team.
But you guys obviously are now starting to bring on some more sponsorships. For all those people in Buffalo or Bills fans watching or listening, Josh Allen is in a partnership with you guys. How did that begin? Did you what did you just call his agent, or how did that partnership begin?
So in Josh's case, his agent actually reached out to us. He had heard about the development we're working on down near Riverworks.
Mm-hmm.
So we're working on a golf entertainment center.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about that yet.
Yeah. And so he's a golfer. You might have seen, I know that he's been golfing out in California, and, since in his off season. So, and he's a good stick. So he was just kind of curious about what we were up to. And so he ended up investing in us, and becoming a shareholder, and really just an awesome ambassador. And we did a, Josh Allen Mafia 17 logoed golf ball and custom OnCore Golf Allen hat. And with the season that they had, those products did really well.
That's great. That's great. And then I also saw that you guys brought on Ezekiel Elliott. I don't know if it was an ambassadorship or an investment or both, but it was interesting. When I found out about that, I clicked the link or whatever, and I read the story, and the story is that, correct me if I'm wrong, the way I remember it is he was in a contract holdout or something, and so he went down to Mexico to or someplace warm, I think it was Mexico, to get away. And he was training, and it was down there where, he just, after he trained for the day or whatever, he would go play around at golf, and he really fell in love with golf. And so now here he is, partnering with you guys as well, which is great, because I'm sure you guys don't aspire to be just the golf ball company for Western New York, as much as firm as your presence is here, so I'm sure that's going to be fun too.
Yeah, no, he's new to the game, Ezekiel. And, just, you're right. He was down in Mexico, during COVID, and started playing golf, and, love the golf ball. We've got a partnership with a company called Golf Boost, that has an app. It's AI driven. So you film your golf swing with your smartphone, and it gives you an instant lesson. So the algorithm kind of maps all your different body points and your tempo. And,
what's that called?
It's called Golf Boost.
Golf Boost.
Yeah. So he was kind of blown away with that, that technology, and kind of led to a discussion with Keith, our chairman, and they worked out a deal, and he also became a shareholder. And the nice part about that is they're incentivized to promote the company. It's not, a lot of times with influencers and ambassadors, it's kind of like, if you pay me, I'll do something for you. I'll promote, I'll post,
and whatever.
Yeah. So they want to see the company succeed and grow, because they'll benefit from it.
That's fantastic. Tell me about this smart ball. I know about that.
Yeah. So, it's been in the works for a few years, and it was a project, that we thought would probably take about 6 months initially. It's just ended up taking a lot longer, a lot more capital, but it's got a Bluetooth receiver inside the ball, an accelerometer, a magnetometer. So it's basically a mini circuit board, mini chip in the ball that communicates with your smartphone and gives you data points about the ball, how far it traveled, the spin, the location. So we've got kind of the prototype built for more or less a putting version of that, which we're calling the iPutt ball. And we think, pairing that with a putting mat for your room there where you're sitting, and being able to work on your putting and have games associated, with it, with the technology, will open up some really cool doors for, for that connected, the Internet of Things space.
Yeah.
And some partnerships that we'll be able to do with that technology. And I think a lot of the younger kids will be interested in that, because they're seeing a lot of their, as you mentioned, a lot of their devices are connected to the internet, smart,
Totally.
wearable, smart,
Data.
smart devices, wearables. It's just where the future is going. So we're trying to pioneer it, and it's just, when you're building a manufacturing process, there's all sorts of issues with the batteries and with connectivity and with, just making sure all the data is coming out right. So the team's working on it. But
I could never be a part of advancing a product like that. I could talk about it. That's about it.
well, I think you could lead a team to get it over the finish line.
Yeah, we'll see. I appreciate the sentiment, but yeah, data is incredibly powerful. My brother loves his Peloton, and I know so many people use the Fitbit, and how that now like connects with your, if you have an iPhone, like the health monitor and things like that. All of that stuff is really, really useful. I know a guy who's part of a startup that's a sleep apnea app, right? That can, like, the doctor can, send you the equipment. You can do your own sleep study at home and diagnose things. And it's just so powerful what you can do with data. Another thing that's kind of interesting is, so I actually work all Buffalo Bills home games. It was a part-time job that was offered to me a handful of years ago, and I've been doing it ever since. So I can basically just work, the 8 home games a year and nothing else. Perfect, right? So it doesn't actually interfere with my work. Anyways, I work for the company that does all the next gen stats for the NFL. So what that entails is us going in. It's a small team, and we go into both players' locker rooms before the games and activate the RFID tags with like these little wands, and then we go in the press box and set up these computers and like track stuff, and it pushes all the data to the NFL server, and they use that for, oh my gosh, so many things, right? They do the play diagrams on social media. They track how fast people are running, time to throw. They calculate, based on a variety of variables, like how far it went, how much pressure was on the quarterback, how close the defender was. They'll calculate like a dime, right? Where if it meets all of this criteria, it's like a dime throw, like really low completion probability. So the amount of things and how that pushes into video games. I mean, if you can collect data, you're going to find a way to make that work for a lot of people. A lot of people are going to be interested in it, and even not like the data analytics nerds, right? Because just the intelligence that provides, and just whether it's like little things like swing tips or things like that, right? I can see so much potential in that. So you guys must be really excited about that.
Absolutely. I just got one of those Whoop bands.
Oh yeah, the Whoop strap. I was thinking about getting one. Do you like it?
I do. Yeah. It's, I was kind of curious because you mentioned the sleep apnea. Just, you don't really know how you're sleeping, right? It's like, you don't know if you're snoring. You don't know, what kind of quality of sleep you're getting, your REM sleep, your deep sleep. So it gives you insight into all of that and the stages of sleep you're in. and it tries to train you to develop better habits. And it gives you a baseline on your your resting heart rate, your heart rate variability, and things that they're starting to learn about, that can help you train, for sports, for running, for whatever it may be. So
Do you like it?
I do. It's $30 a month. Um, and I'm committed to 6 months with what I got signed up. So we'll see. I'd say I'm still learning,
Cool.
but overall, it's been pretty cool.
Tell me about this complex that you guys are planning down in Riverworks, and what's the latest on that for all who know about that?
Sure. There were some delays on that project with COVID. Um, we'd initially planned on doing a hotel component, and then everything just kind of froze up for hospitality and funding, financing, anything that was really bringing people together, was out of the question. Granted, now with the vaccine, I think it's a little bit of a different story, and people are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. So we're still moving that project forward. We're just focused on the golf. So it's an elevated game board. So you've got, if you're familiar with the Top Golf,
Yeah.
it's very similar design. We're going to have our own games and our own tracking and the use of OnCore golf balls, of course. So yeah, the team, Doug Swift, who built Riverworks, is leading that project for us in conjunction with our CEO Keith Blakely, and I know they're making some good progress on it, just getting the site approvals and the all the clearance that you need to move forward.
Can't wait. I
Yeah,
can't imagine how much work that requires to get something like that approved. So good on you guys for um, really being a part of something that is not just a company, great, but it's like really woven into the fabric of our city. I mean, that's going to be tremendous for Buffalo and Western New York. So good on you guys for getting behind that.
yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, there's a great team behind it, and um, I think the people in Buffalo, have been really excited about it and supportive of it. So um, I think
Hey, I just want to
it'll be
acknowledge it's kind
well.
of
Yeah.
interesting that that this happened while we're talking about golf. Tiger Woods is in the hospital right now after a car crash
My
that
God.
just happened today. He was removed using the jaws of life, and the car sustained major damage. Um, there were no people or cars involved in the crash. So let's just send our best to Tiger Woods and his family for a speedy recovery. I
Jeez.
had some texts come through from my friends, and I saw Tiger or something. So I
Jeez.
just wanted to look at it. So
I
let's
hope
put
he's
our thoughts
okay.
there, and yeah, wish him a speedy recovery.
I know, he was on the, yep, sorry, freaking alarms going off on my
That's okay.
phone.
We've been
Um,
interrupted by kids and dogs and stuff. Like,
um, I think it was the alarm for for our talk here. It just keeps replaying. I'll
ah,
shut it off. But I know I saw him give an interview. Well, he came on the broadcast this past weekend when they were at the PGA Tour, was at Riviera, and you could tell he's been through back surgeries, so it looked like he was visibly in some pain, going through some things. So I wonder if you know it was just related to that surgery and everything that he's been through recently. But I hope he's okay.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
My
Listen, Steve, I gotta
Yeah,
say this this has been such an awesome conversation. I feel very fortunate that you've been able to take some time to connect with me. I got to jump on another meeting in another 10 minutes. Otherwise, I would probably have more questions for you. But really respect and admire everything that you have done and continue to do. And it's just been really awesome. If anybody's interested in learning more about OnCore Golf, where would you instruct them?
Our website is a great choice, and that's OnCore with an O, ONCORE golf.com, or they can reach out to me or you on LinkedIn. I know we're LinkedIn buddies there.
Sure, I'll drop your LinkedIn profile. I'll put a link to your profile.
I appreciate you having me on, CJ, and certainly hope folks check out your articles and all the thought pieces that you put out. I've been enjoying them.
Thank you.
So thanks for all you do.
My pleasure. It's the least I could do. So,
All right.
Steve Coulton, OnCore Golf. Thanks so much. Steve, I hope to talk to you soon. Have a great day.
Cheers.